UFC 305 Plessis versus Adesanya takes place this weekend, and the main event is absolutely massive. We've got your full card breakdown coming up with predictions, with picks, which are essentially the same damn things. We're going to touch into some betting and things like that, and also the return of DS. A lot of you guys been texting me. He's back for this episode. Stay tuned.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the 10-7 MMA. I'm your boy DS, and I'm here with my guy Dino Bam Bam.
DS, what up, man? Glad to see you feeling a little bit better to where you could join us on the pod today, brother. How you feeling?
I'm feeling a little bit better, as you said. Not 100%. My voice is still kind of fucked up, so I will try to keep my responses and answers and predictions short and sweet today. For this huge card, of course, and we're talking about UFC 305. Plessis versus Adesanya is this weekend. Massive, massive main event. This is one that we've been wanting to see for a while now. Obviously, they've both had some fights in between since their little stare down. I'm absolutely pumped for the main event, and overall, it's not a bad little card.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, Dino, it's a little bit of a top-heavy card, but the main event is literally all you can ask for as a UFC fan. As an MMA fan, obviously some bad blood in there. I'm a little surprised that the build-up to this week, like in the build-up, it hasn't felt bigger than, I thought it would build as we went on. It doesn't seem to be building. It just kind of seems to be like a steady pace, but shit, it's going to feel fucking crazy when they walk in or when we're getting close to that main card time.
Absolutely. I mean, Dricus, obviously, tough fight with Sean Strickland last time. A lot of people thought Sean won that. More than anything, I'm curious to see how Izzy looks, right? And, we'll get to that in a second here. Anything you want to say before we jump right into the predictions?
Yeah, brother, I'm glad you mentioned it. Guys, if you are enjoying our content or have enjoyed our content in the past, do us a favor. Hit the little like and subscribe button like the thing at the bottom says. Leave a comment down below. Let us know who you think is going to win the main event this weekend. Is it going to be and still with Dricus Plessis, or do we get an and new with Israel Adesanya? Dino, I also dropped MMA Casuals, and if I can toot my own horn a little bit, I think it's a badass Casuals. So you guys check that out.
You crushed that.
Thank you, my friend. But let's get straight into this card. I know you're not feeling great. Let's just go. Let's get it. I'm pumped.
All right, let's do it, brother. All right, so first fight of the night, we've got Stewart Nicoll, and obviously he's from Australia. I'll give you the podium here in a second, but would this guy be fighting in the UFC if it wasn't? Because let's be real, this is at the end of the day pretty much a themed card. It's the Australian card, and of course he's taking on the Mexican Jesus Aguilar. What do you think about this one?
Let's get it, Dino. Would he be fighting on this card if he wasn't Australian? Man, probably not. But that's not to knock the guy. From the limited tape I've seen of Stewart Nicoll, and I told you this right before we started this video, all my notes have him as Stewart Nicolli for some reason. That's just how it got typed out. So if I say Nicolli, guys, bear with me. But a lot of people seem to think that Stewart Nicoll is like just like a full-fledged grappler. I've seen some decent striking out of him, Dino, some good footwork, some good hands, decent hand speed. So that goes to show you, I mean, if a lot of people think he's a grappler, then I'm sitting here thinking like, man, he's a solid striker. He's probably pretty damn well-rounded. Does a good job maintaining distance, landing clean strikes. He does a great job avoiding damage. So I really like that about him. We just don't know too much about him, right? He's basically faced cans on the regional scene. So I guess we're going to find out. He's facing Jesus Aguilar, a guy that we saw live at UFC 290 where there was that Dricus and Izzy stare down in the octagon. Just a shit ton of power for like a little short, stocky, just thick ball of a man. But he's like 5'2". The guy's absolutely tiny. But he's got good grappling, Dino. I feel like in the UFC, we've seen him as more of a striker because he does have that knockout against Shannon Ross, but he has a good wrestling background, man. That's usually when he has been successful. It's been closing the distance and getting to that clinch work, getting to the grappling. His striking is definitely less developed, in my opinion, than Stewart Nicol's. So I don't know, man. I feel like besides a big-ass knockout or just Stewart Nicoll not being that good of a fighter, I don't see how Jesus Aguilar can win. So if he wins, it's probably a fraud check. If not, I got to go with Nicoll. He's a big favorite here at home. Give me Nicoll by decision.
Yeah. I mean, you pretty much said it all, man. I don't think Nicoll's some crazy striker, right? But I do think on the feet, Aguilar is the better striker. My concern is that he has a 62-inch reach. Do we know what Nicoll's reach is? I was trying to find it, but I couldn't.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's on like the regional tape, right? But like, who knows with those numbers? Like,
it literally nowhere has it for whatever reason. But Aguilar has really, really short arms. I like the guy though, man. He's scrappy. You know, he puts up a tough fight every time. Has he fought the highest level of competition? No, but yeah, I mean, the biggest question mark in this fight is Stewart Nicoll, right? Because, like you said, he's pretty much fought cans, right? You know, 5-0, 8-4, 3-3, 1-1, right? Like he only has 8 fights under his belt. He's 9 years old, I want to say. So, you know, kind of a late bloomer. Obviously, he hasn't taken a lot of damage. That's great. I do think the grappling will be the difference here. I'm not particularly confident in this, man. I almost went with Aguilar because I just know he's tough. My only thing is he really does not have the best takedown defense. And I think that Nicoll, I don't think he should really try to stand too much, to be honest with you. Maybe he's going to have the jitters, hometown crowd, whatever it might be. But I do think that for him, the best bet would be to get a takedown early and often, right? I'm going to agree with you, though. I'm going to take Stewart Nicoll by decision. But, man, Aguilar, he might be worth a little sprinkle there at plus 185.
you know, Dino, this was actually one of the tougher fights on the card for me to pick. But yeah, so I agree with you. Very tough way to start the card, especially if we're talking about betting. I'm going to stay away from this one. Or like you said, if I'm feeling froggy and I want to spend some money, I'll go ahead and sprinkle on Aguilar. I'm not comfortable betting in Stewart Nicoll yet. We just don't know enough about him, man.
Yeah, the jump up in competition, it's not, you know, it's not a lateral like jump where he's coming from like a somewhat lateral, right? Where it's a slight step up. It's a massive step up in competition. Literally the fucking promotion that he fought for, I forgot what it was called, some like funky ass name. But
it was Beatdown Promotions.
Beatdown Promotions, right? Which I'm sure it's a local Australian promotion, whatever. That's fine. There's a reason he's on this card, but I don't think he's without talent. I just, you know, minus 225 in a debut fight like this, and he's actually the older fighter. It's interesting to me.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Next fight on the card, we've got Kenan Song. He is taking on Ricky Glenn. This is at welterweight. This is a fun little fight, man. I'm kind of surprised that, you know, I feel like this could be higher up on the card personally. Kenan Song, he's known throughout his career for being a powerful striker. He's the guy that wobbled the shit out of Ian Gary, almost knocked his ass out.
Ian Machado Gary.
Oh, my bad. Ian Machado Gary. The thing with Kenan Song is, though, as you know, as we all know, he ended up losing that fight. He is very hittable, right? So he does land some good shots and he goes for it, and he's got really good power, right? So I like all those things for him. To me, it just, you know, I haven't seen that power as much in his last couple fights, right? So, you know, is the power going away? Who knows, right? He's taking on Ricky Glenn, and man, I was a Ricky Glenn fan. I really respect Ricky Glenn. Obviously, he's now on a 2-fight losing streak. He had the majority decision draw versus Grant Dawson. There's been times where Ricky Glenn has looked really good, and he's an easy fighter to root for, right? He's really fun. He also used to display some good power. But for me, the difference here is I just expect Kenan Song. It's not as simple as it looks. I expect Kenan Song to be the more powerful striker. He might even be the faster striker at this point. I think Ricky Glenn is most certainly past his prime, and he's kind of looked like he's slowing down in his last couple fights, hence getting knocked out 2 times in a row, right? Which, again, both these guys are you know, coming off a loss. I think Kevin Jousset is not a bad fighter. Kenan Song put up a decent fight against him, right? He had some good moments. So, to me, this is going to be a stand-up fight, no question about it. I just don't trust the movement and the activity of Ricky Glenn at this point. He's just seemed a little bit more apprehensive lately. And I'm going to take Kenan Song, man. I mean, there's a reason he's a minus 230 favorite. Could the odds be a little bit closer? Maybe, but I'm going to go with him. I'm going to say by decision, but I do think a knockout is very, very possible.
Yeah, Dino, I'm in kind of the same boat as you, man. If Ricky Glenn were to utilize his grappling, or if I had the confidence in Ricky Glenn to utilize his grappling, I would pick him here because kind of like you pointed out, right? It feels like both fighters are on the decline in their career here. With Kenan Song, the power isn't what it used to be. He's not putting people away like we thought he would be doing at this point. And then with Ricky Glenn, it's tough to pick a guy that's lost 2 in a row by knockout, man. So look, again, if I had faith in Ricky Glenn using the wrestling, I wouldn't mind picking him here. I just don't know that he's going to be able to do that or even wanting to do that. So I got to stick with the power here with Kenan Song against the guy who's been knocked out twice in a row. Like you said, it's not that simple of a fight, but I will go Kenan by decision as well. But yeah, man, it's not that easy. Another fight that I don't love in terms of betting. I'm going to stay away from this one as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. If I'm gonna bet anything, it would be a prop, right? Knockout prop, something like that. But certainly not as a parlay piece. All right, moving on. Third fight of the night, we've got Tom Nolan. He's taking on Alex Reyes at 155. What do you think about this one, Dino?
Yeah, Dino, weird fight for me, right? The odds makers have it at minus 1,100 for Tom Nolan. They obviously know what they're doing. I don't think Alex Reyes is as bad as a plus 700, but he's not a very good fighter. I mean, he's got some decent power, always has some knockout potential, but really besides that, there's not too much, man. I mean, and then we have Tom Nolan on the other side. I don't see him being a minus 1,100 versus anybody because we have seen him tested against guys like Nicolas Mata and things like that. Like, just not great.
He got knocked out.
That's what I'm saying, right? So he's not a great fighter either. So minus 1,100 is absolutely bananas to me. We know that he's susceptible to guys with power. And if Alex Reyes has anything, it's power. I still have to stick with the odds makers because minus 1,100, I feel like you're a nut job to pick against it. But shit, if I am betting, I'm 100% betting on Alex Reyes in this one. It's definitely worth a sprinkle, especially if you're going knockout prop. But for the show, for the official pick, I will go with Tom Nolan by decision. But man, the odds makers are absolutely fucking tripping on this one.
Yeah, it's a wild one, man. We don't often see minus 1,100s in the UFC at this point, right? And it's unless it's like even in women's fights, to be honest with you. So for Tom Nolan of all people to be, a minus 1,100 favorite, that's crazy. Really, what this tells you is that this is a fight that the UFC is setting up for Tom Nolan to win. If he loses this, he's fucking done, right? So it's Alex Reyes. This is Dominic Reyes' brother, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's past his prime. He's an older guy now. The power that he once had, you don't really see it anymore. He's coming off a knockout. Tom Nolan, again, man, to me, doesn't have a great chin, but he's got good power. He's in the hometown crowd. This is a very obvious kind of case of the UFC giving a hometown fighter a layup. I'm going to go with knockout in the second round. A lot of brothers in this card. I just want to say that, by the way. You got Dominic Cruz's brother. You've got Johnny Walker's brother.
Yeah.
And he's fighting Justin Tafa's Justin Tafa's brother Jr.
Yeah. Hey, Dino, hold on. Give me a second. I'm trying to find the odds the last time that Alex Reyes fought. It was against Charlie Campbell, and he was a plus 360 to Charlie Campbell's minus 550. Charlie Campbell's a better fighter than Tom Nolan. All I'm saying. I know it was.
They're basically Vegas is telling you more than anything what they think of Alex Reyes. Jesus. Yeah. Less so what they think of Tom Nolan, but it's still weird to me. I mean, minus 600-700 I could see. Minus 1,100 is fucking crazy. I think they just don't want you to make any money on this.
Right. Basically.
All right, moving on. Are you good to move on?
Yeah, let's move on, brother.
Moving on, next fight of the night. And if you're seeing a pattern here, that's exactly what it is. It's an Australian card. We've got another Australian fighter, Jack Jenkins. He is taking on Herbert Burns. Oh, another brother, by the way.
Shout out Herbert. Hey, where's Francisco Figueiredo when you need him, bro? That's all.
Oh, God, dude.
They cut, bro.
This is the same kind of thing to me, man. You got an older, aging brother of a UFC fighter who's better. The brother's always better, right? All the worst brothers are on this card. Jack Jenkins, if you remember last time, he was hurt. He hurt his elbow. He tried to catch himself when he was taken down by Chepe.
Yep.
And Chepe, we know Chepe is a dog, man. So, he just beat Damon Jackson. So that loss has aged pretty decently. I think Jack Jenkins is a good fighter, man. I like his boxing a lot. He's got very crisp boxing. I also like his wrestling. So I just think he's really better than Herbert Burns everywhere. There's not a ton of analysis to give you on this one. This is this is pretty much the same deal as the last fight. Just the odds aren't as crazy, right? You've got a guy who's been out for a year, who's a fan favorite. He's got the mullet, he's got the mustache and all that shit, right? He's got a look to him. He's an interesting fighter, and he's for the most part an exciting fighter. He doesn't have like a ton of power, right? I think his upside as a fighter overall in the division is capped. But again, hometown guy, fighting an older guy who has really bad cardio, who makes stupid fucking decisions. This is Jack Jenkins all day, man. He could really end this in any which way he wants. I do see a finish. I'm gonna say he drops him early in the second round, and then he gets a rear naked choke, gets a submission.
All right, I'm going to agree with like 90% of what you said, Dino. I mean, look, Jack Jenkins, especially at this point in his career, definitely the better fighter than Herbert Burns. Herbert Burns has almost become like a little meme for like quitting in that one fight and being carried out of the octagon by his.
I hated that. I'm glad you mentioned that. I could never pick you again.
Right, I feel you. I thought you were going to say I could never pick you up and walk you out of the octagon. I was like, shit, I feel you. Probably not. I'm a big boy, especially if I got like dead weight on me. I got knocked the fuck out.
I'm going home. I'm gonna meet you at the hotel room if you got knocked out, boy.
I'm down. All right, but look, here's the thing. There is one area where he is better, where he is the better fighter than Jack Jenkins, Herbert Burns, and that's the pure jiu-jitsu, right? The problem is he's one of those jiu-jitsu guys who has no ability to take it to the ground. And then from what we've seen, he lacks the heart at this point and the cardio to like survive a dogfight and find himself in a position of advantage on the ground. So I do mostly agree with you. I could totally see Jack Jenkins dropping him and then getting that sub, like you were saying, which is probably like a crazy prop to play. But I just think it's going to end up being a TKO. I think once he drops him, he's just going to start wheeling shots up against the cage, against like a fetal position Herbert Burns. That's kind of how I picture this fight going. So yeah, Jack Jenkins, I'll go like early round 2 TKO.
Respect.
Yeah,
I like it. All right, moving on. We've got a women's fight, and it's two very different looking women. I'm talking about Casey O'Neill. She's taking on Luana Santos. You were just messing.
What was I doing?
You were just rizzing her up on Instagram.
I was not rizzing her up, guys. That is absolute cap. She invited us to be in one of those like little, what are they called? Like groups, I guess, on Instagram. So I'm sitting there and I'm seeing all these messages flowing in. I look at my phone and it's like Luana Santos. I was like, oh shit, she's trying to get on the pod. Like, what's good? I open it. Yeah. It's just a group thing. Very disappointing, but like whatever. And then
you're out here using Google Translate.
Right. And then you text me like 10 minutes later and you're like, you risen this girl up, bro? What are you doing out there? I'm like, come on, Diaz. You know, I'm not doing the text-to-speech Fala Galera shit. But anyways, guys. King Casey O'Neill versus Luana Santos. Casey O'Neill, man, a grappling specialist with a strong ground game. Her ability to chain takedowns together, Dino, is pretty damn impressive. Her biggest strength is remaining heavy on top. She looked like kind of a fucking killer in the division, like what, 2 years ago, something like that. She looked like she was really headed to the top. And then some shakiness. We started seeing some holes in her game. But again, once she is on the ground, man, she's very damn aggressive. She's very damn strong. Then you got Luana Santos, basically the striker in this grappler versus striker fight. She likes to keep the fight standing, man. She has good takedown defense, so that's pretty good for her. Good head movement, good foot movement, good striking fundamentals in general. She's going to have to keep this fight at a distance, Dino. She's going to have to stay on her feet to win this fight. I know Luana Santos is the favorite. I'm going dog here, man. I just feel like Casey O'Neill, with the home crowd, with the grappling advantage and the ability to remain heavy on top, she's going to take Santos down a couple times, and then eventually Santos is going to make a mistake. I feel like King Casey round 2 rear naked choke is the pick here. So that's what I'm doing. She's going to get the win in front of the home crowd, home-ish crowd, right? She's not from Australia. Is she Australian or New Zealandish?
I thought she's Scottish.
Yeah, but like she lives out there somewhere.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not as simple as I originally thought, right? Luana Santos, props. Didn't she just fight?
Luana Santos?
Yeah. Yeah, she did. She just beat Maria Agapova, which, listen, her last 3 wins, props to her. She's won all 3 of her UFC fights. Her last 3 wins, Agapova, Egger, Juliana Miller. Like, if I had to list 3 of the worst women's fighters in the UFC, those 3 are like at least top 3 of the top 5 that I would mention. So, not particularly impressed there. I like that she's being super active. I do appreciate that. She's super young. Obviously, the UFC wants to push her. She's good looking. She does a little dance at the end and whatnot. Casey O'Neill, man, this would have been a lot easier of a decision for me. You said, like, earlier on she looked better. I think part of that was a knee injury that she had, man. She had a pretty bad knee injury. I think she tore ACL or MCL. I forgot exactly what it was, but, I think since coming back, she's kind of looked a little bit more apprehensive, not quite as athletic. Yeah, I mean, listen, I know they're both listed at the same height and, like, very similar reach and all that. For me, I think Casey O'Neill is still going to be the bigger fighter in the ring. And like you said, there's a lot of women in the UFC that are pretty good at jiu-jitsu. There's not a lot of them that are good at takedowns, right? And Casey O'Neill certainly has the better takedowns here. I just trust her a little bit more overall. I'm going to say by decision, but props to Luana Santos for being more active. And listen, I'm sure the UFC wants Luana Santos to win, but I'm going to side with you. I'm going to take the dog here too. I'm going to say Casey O'Neill by decision.
Yeah, man. Decent dog at 125. I don't know if I'm parlaying her, but I definitely do like it, as you look like you're fucking struggling with your illness over there. I do like Casey O'Neill at 125 plus money. It's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. You take that plus money, and it's a women's fight. There's more variability there. The striking of Casey O'Neill is not good. Luana Santos definitely the better striker, but it's not like she has some crazy power.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on. Next fight of the night, we've got Joshua Culibao. He has taken on Ricardo Ramos.
Isn't Kuya your boy, Dino?
He was, man. He was. Josh Culibao is an interesting guy because, I just always thought he was a little bit better, or wanted him to be better. I don't really know how to put it, but I think we kind of know who Josh Culibao is at this point, right? And I think his record, it's a pretty good record, by the way. 11-3-1. Lost his last 2. Lost to Danny Silva in a close fight, split decision. Lost to Lerone Murphy fairly handily in that one. He beat Melsik Bagdasaryan. He beat Sungwoo Choi, right? So I think he lost to Jalen Turner, beat Charlon Beckett, right? So I think we know where he is, right? He's kind of a middle-of-the-pack guy in the division. He's got fast hands. He doesn't have a ton of power, but he does mix up the strikes. He does a really good job with that. Ricardo Ramos, man, very talented, all that good stuff, and certainly has, we've seen Culibao kind of, let us down in fights at times. To me, man, the difference is, this is very simple for me. Ricardo Ramos, it just makes some stupid fucking decisions. He makes some of the worst decisions that you'll ever see. And every single fight, he's going to do it, bro. He's going to do it. He's going to give you an opportunity. And I just think Josh Culibao, with his ability to mix up strikes, I think he is an opportunistic type of fighter. So for me, I just think that at some point we're going to see Ricardo Ramos make a big mistake. And I just think overall, Culibao's better, man. I know we've seen him lose some fights. I just think that he is just a little bit better overall than Ricardo Ramos. And I think that Ricardo Ramos will simply expose himself at some point. So I'm going to take Joshua Culibao. I'm going to take him by second round TKO.
Yeah, man, a tough one for me. I'm also picking Culibao. I don't know if I want to take him by late knockout, Dino, or a decision. But the more this fight progresses, right, Ricardo Ramos is super damn dangerous on the ground. Let's put it that way, right? If he gets on top of Culibao or gets his back or something like that, it might be curtains. So really, it kind of goes to a little bit of what you were saying. You're saying Ricardo Ramos is going to make a mistake and get caught. But if Josh Culibao makes a mistake and lets this dude get a hold of him, it might be over the other way, man. So a very difficult fight where the winner of this fight is going to have to fight a fight with no mistakes. At this point, I do just believe that Culibao is the better striker. Not I believe. He's absolutely the better striker. But I don't know if Ricardo Ramos really has like that dog in him. So that's really the determining factor for me. I just think Culibao, if he gets in a couple nice licks, does a little bit of damage, I don't know how much we can expect Ricardo Ramos to handle. So I guess I'll go knockout as well. I'll just go with you, man. I'll go second round knockout. I'm not 100% like confident in this one. I'm not super comfortable with it, but I do think Culibao is just a tougher guy than Ricardo Ramos. And I know that sounds shitty from a dude just sitting here in his fucking oversized UFC t-shirt on his ass with a torn Achilles, but it just is what it is, man. I'm going with Kuya.
I feel you. So we agree there. All right, moving on. Next fight of the night, we've got Junior Tafa taking on Valter Walker. This is, of course, Justin Tafa's brother and Johnny Walker's brother, as I mentioned earlier. What do you think about this absolute mess of a fight?
Yeah. All right, man. What is there to break down? Junior Tafa, he's a Tafa brother. If you've seen one, you've seen them both. If you've seen any of their fights, it's the same shit every time. They're super goddamn powerful. They're live for a knockout literally at any moment. Just stupid power, stupid aggressive, good combos. That's really it. They're Muay Thai guys, right? They're kickboxing dudes. That's just what they are. And then we have Valter Walker, man, a guy that was super damn disappointing his last time out. Like, we thought maybe Valter Walker was going to come into the UFC here and, just kind of make a statement, put on for himself, put on for his brother in the heavyweight division. And he just looked fucking awful in that fight against Lucas Brzeski, Dino. And Lucas Brzeski, not like a top of the food chain kind of guy. The thing with these
certainly not. That's
right,
an understanding.
100%. And the thing with these Tafa brothers, man, is that like if you could survive early on with them, you should probably win the fight. So Valter Walker needs to just not get knocked the fuck out in 5 or 6 minutes, and then he should be fine after that. I know I might be nuts, but I'm going to go with Valter Walker. I feel like he's going to find a TKO in the second round after that 6-7 minute mark where Junior Tafa starts to slow down. But like I could also totally see Junior Tafa just blowing the fucking roof off this place and exposing Valter Walker for being what we should know he is after one miserable fucking UFC performance. But I'll go Valter Walker TKO round 2. I still got a little bit of faith. And especially because I seen Johnny working out with Habib. That gave me some hopes.
You think?
Not really. Just saying shit to say it.
Okay. Yeah, for me, this is a very straightforward one, man. Junior Tafa, obviously the much better kickboxer, boxer, any striking realm. That's literally where he comes from. He kind of just got into MMA, right? He was more of a kickboxer and a boxer before that. Valter Walker is just fat and lays down on you, right? So to me, is Junior, has he worked on his grappling? I really fucking hope so, right? Because if he hasn't, this fight's going to be either just Junior Tafa knockout, or it's going to be a Valter Walker just fat decision and just laying on him, and that's it. So that's really the two ways that I see this fight going. For me, I cannot take Valter Walker. I think he's also really fucking stupid, and just makes really, really poor decisions and has very low fight IQ and is just sloppy, right? So for me, Junior Tafa, the Tafa bros, they get hyped up, right? He's got the crowd behind him. He's got the better striking. He should get this done. But to me, the odds are exactly where they should be. It's literally 50-50 because if he gets to the ground, I don't really see him getting up. He's the smaller guy. He probably shouldn't necessarily – he should probably be a light heavyweight, to be honest with you. So, has the much smaller frame, is going to be a lot lighter. Valter Walker's huge. If he gets you down, man, and Valter Walker, sure, he can make a mistake and not try to take him down. This fight is so goddamn 50-50 for me. So I'll pick because I have to. I'll take Junior Tafa by knockout in the first round.
Wow.
But if that doesn't happen, because that's really the only time. If it doesn't happen, he's going to lose by decision.
So. Well, yeah. So if Junior Tafa really, I think it's like I said, I think he has 6 or 7 minutes, Dino, to get a knockout. And it's possible that he does that because that's what the fuck he does. But let me ask you this hypothetical. If Justin Tafa were fighting Johnny Walker, who went up to like 235, 240, how do you see that fight playing out? You think Johnny Walker fucks him up, or does he get comedically knocked out?
Say it again.
If Justin Tafa were fighting Johnny Walker and it was the other brothers and Johnny moved up to like 230, 240, like swolled up a little bit, does Johnny Walker outclass him, or does he get comedically knocked the fuck out?
Either one. It's 50-50.
50-50.
I can't pick Johnny Walker anymore after the last fight, man.
We need a tag team match. That's what we need with the Justin and Junior versus Valter and Johnny. That's what I want. Come on.
Ooh, I like it.
Let's get it.
I like it. But honestly, same kind of fucking thing. Johnny Walker is the most talented of all 4 of those guys, right?
Of course.
And that's not close. but he also is really fucking dumb and just fucks around, you know?
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Next fight on the card, we've got Jingliang. He is taking on Carlos Prates. Did you say something?
Jingliang, baby, let's go. We're on the main card.
Jingliang, and here's the problem, man. Jingliang, if you guys don't know, he broke his back, spinal, straight up. So 36 years old, 36 and a half, coming off a pretty long layoff, man. He's somebody who used to be very, very active. Last time we saw Jingliang was almost 2 whole years ago at this point. So yeah. 36 years old, coming off it was a split decision, but coming off a loss to Daniel Rodriguez, who I really thought he was going to beat. Hasn't aged well. Now 36, coming off a terrible injury to, it's your fucking spine, right? And now he's taking on an exciting striker who really, really utilizes his range well and has 2 knockouts in a row in the UFC, right? Who's looked really, really exciting. And I'm talking about Carlos Prates. So the Charles Radke win has aged pretty nicely. Trevin Giles, no joke either. Mitch Ramirez, obviously whatever. I know he made it to the UFC too. Not particularly impressive. But he throws all kinds of shit. He's long and rangy. And not just is he long and rangy, right? It's that he's able to use that range. So he's going to have a 6-inch reach advantage. He's going to have a 1-inch height advantage. If this fight was 2 years ago, and we saw from Prates, but this was 2 years ago with Jingliang being who he is and what we were seeing from him at that point, all the respect to him, man, but coming off a bad injury, much older fighter, 5 years older, 6 inches in reach. His only, in my opinion, the only way that Jingliang could win this fight is if he uses the wrestling, and he is a very good wrestler. He's a good striker. Carlos Prates is the better striker. He's going to mix it up more, but because Jingliang is more a boxer than anything, let's be honest. But the wrestling of Jingliang is very good, and he's obviously the more savvy veteran. So if he's smart, right, I hope he doesn't stand there and try to strike with Carlos Prates. If he doesn't, his best bet would be to try to take him down. Now, is he going to do that? Who knows, right? We haven't seen him in 2 years. But for my money, man, I got to go with Carlos Prates. And unfortunately, I do think he's going to get the knockout. And I'm going to say in the second round.
Yeah, Dino, look, I'm 1,000% with you, man. I agree fully. I love what you said about this fight being like, if this was 2 years ago, but we had today's Prates and we just rewinded 2 years and placed his ass into the octagon with Jingliang, I'm picking Lee, man. And it's not because Prates hasn't been fucking exciting and very impressive. He has been, but the Leech was just an absolute dog at that time. But 2 years out of the octagon for an older guy, bad back injury. I just don't love this for him, man. The only thing, Dino, is I wish we were able to see that suit 2 years ago, but we never saw it at that press conference. He's not on the presser, which is happening at 3 a.m.
You say the suit?
Hours. Yeah, the whole suit.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was so sad.
And he's not going to be on the press conference this weekend. So that's tough, man. I do have to go with Carlos Prates. He looks like he is on the way up, whereas Jingliang is definitely on the way down. I'll be rooting for the Leech. I'm not going to lie to you. I am a Lee fan. Not too big of a Carlos Prates fan, but he is exciting. -230 is right about where this fight should be. If the Leech does implement his wrestling, though, man, and he's able to kind of drag this out, who knows? A decision would be cool. I'd be happy with that. But Carlos Prates TKO, I like round 2 as well.
Yep. All right, moving on to the next fight of the night. We've got Tuivasa. He is taking on Biggie Boy, Jairzinho, Rozenstruik, 2 more big boys. What do you think about this one?
I mean, shit. Well, shout out Ty Bam Bam Tuivasa, Dino Bam Bam, Ty Bam Bam. Us Bam Bams, man. We got to stick together. And then we got Biggie Boy, Jairzinho, Rozenstruik, an absolute dog. Another my boy. 2 my boys here, Dino. What about you? You like these guys? 2 my boys?
These 2, both these guys?
Yeah. Are they your boys? Our boys?
I like Ty. I mean, I'm not against Biggie Boy. I wouldn't call him my boy though.
Okay, fair. So let's try to give this a little bit of a breakdown, even though there's not much to break down, guys. Tai Tuivasa, a super heavy-handed striker, excels in close range exchanges. His approach is straightforward, but it's effective. He's going in there. He's ready to brawl. He wants to throw down. He's down to get hit, man. And we've seen Tai Tuivasa hurt and still put people away multiple times in the UFC. I think of UFC 264, fighting Greg Hardy. He got wobbled and then put him absolutely on his ass and out. He throws wild early, Dino, massive looping shots. It's just what it is. Tai Tuivasa is an absolute fucking slugger. He is like a Kyle Schwarber kind of guy. And if you're like a baseball fan, that's who he is, man. He's just a big motherfucker who's throwing bombs. Might not be effective all the time, but it's fun to watch. And he always walks out to something fun. So that's something to look forward to. On the other side, Jairzinho Rozenstruik, a much more.
Didn't you tell him to walk out to Barbie Girl that one time, and he did?
I did message him that. He didn't respond to me, but he read it. So I'd like to think I gave him that walkout. That'd be really cool. But yeah, Jairzinho Rozenstruik, much more technical than Tai Tuivasa. You know, obviously he comes from a past of kickboxing and Muay Thai and things like that. Very patient counter striker, which you wouldn't think looking at the guy. He also looks like he would be a fucking brawler, but he does a good job at waiting for his opponents to make mistakes and then countering and putting them out, because he does have some serious power as well. His composure and his timing are super damn key in this fight, because Tai Tuivasa is not very patient. He's going to blitz forward. So really, Dino, what this fight breaks down to is who the fuck is going to find that massive shot first? And it's going to happen in the first round is how I feel about it. I think that Jairzinho Rozenstruik is more willing to go longer in this fight. We just saw it with Shamil Gaziev his last time out. But Tai Tuivasa is not going to sit there and wait around and play that game with you for 2-3 rounds. He's going to come forward. He's going to swing big. He's going to land, or you're going to catch his ass coming in. Part of me really, really wants to pick Jairzinho Rozenstruik, but shit, I got to go with Tai Tuivasa in front of the home crowd. This fight's ending in the first round. I don't see how we make it to the second.
Yeah, man. I mean, you pretty much said it all, right? Jairzinho Rozenstruik is going to be the more technical striker. Tai Tuivasa, there's nothing technical about him, right? You know, he gets hit. He's going to get hit. He's reckless as fuck. Bam Bam is the perfect nickname for him. He fights just like Bam Bam. He's fucking reckless.
He does fight like me. You're right.
I mean, yeah, kind of. He's got big power. These guys both have big power. And you said it. I mean, somebody's getting knocked out in this fight. I actually think that you said it's going to end in the first round. I think if we get through a first round, there's still going to be a finish. But I think the chances of it being for Jairzinho greatly increase at that point. However, I have to agree with you, man. I think the hometown crowd is going to be behind him. This is 50-50 for me too, man. So I just got to go with Tai Tuivasa. He's coming off 4 straight losses in a row. Hasn't looked great. And if he loses another one, man, like, he's a fan favorite. I don't think he'll get cut, but man, it's not a good look for him. The plus money, and I think it's kind of 50-50. It's tough though, man, because you know what? Jairzinho Rozenstruik is much better defensively, right? Jairzinho Rozenstruik isn't going to stand there and just openly bang with Tai Tuivasa. Right. That's my thing.
Exactly.
So, like my heart is telling me Tai, my brain is telling me Jairzinho. Fuck, man. I think I'm going to go with Biggie Boy. I got to go with Biggie Boy. I'm switching my pick. I just think he's going to land the better shots, and Tai Tuivasa is going to get worn out, man. I think he's I don't know, man. This is so
Hey, you've got me fucking second guessing my pick. Literally on my paper here, I have Jairzinho Rozenstruik round 1 knockout. But I went with Tuivasa. I'm going to let you know, Dino, I'm switching it up. I'm going Jairzinho Rozenstruik. I'm done with this fight. I'm done.
I'm gonna go with Jairzinho. You know, he looked pretty damn good in his last fight. God, you know, and Shamil didn't look great. That's the whole thing. But yeah, I'm gonna go with them. Second, I'm gonna go second round KO. I just think Ty's gonna be worn out. But man, anything's possible, and I'm not betting this one.
Hey, we're not getting to a second. I think you're nuts. There's no way this goes to a second. No way Tai Tuivasa on a 4-fight losing streak is just sticking around and trying to find his shot. Trying to find his shot. He's fucking going for it. He's he's coming in, head down, fucking this thing. You know, like the movies where like the bully's holding the dude's head.
I was going to say, he should just do this.
Yeah, that's the best defense for that, obviously. But he's coming in swinging. He's throwing fucking leather. He's throwing bombs. The way I see it ending is he catches Jairzinho with one of those bombs, or just Jairzinho, like kind of like the step back. Who was it? God, I was just thinking about it earlier today. Like the Anderson Silva, like the step back right hand, just like right down the middle. Just
Yeah.
that's what I'm picturing, man. Like
Yeah.
the finish is going to come in the first round in this fight. I'm pretty confident in that. Of course, now what's going to happen is going to be like a boring ass decision. Some asshole's going to be in the comments like, you fucking idiot.
I will say, picking either one of them by second round KO could be a fun sprinkle.
Brother, I love fun sprinkling, so don't tell me to do that.
Amen.
Come on.
All right, let's move on. Next fight of the night, we've got Mateusz Gamrot. He's taking on Dan Hooker at lightweight, of course. This is a fucking fight, man. This is a big one. This is a really good fight. Well, I think it'll be a really good fight. This is straightforward, right? In terms of stylistic, we know what this is. Mateusz Gamrot, maybe the premier wrestler, let's say, takedown artist, chain takedown artist, whatever you want to call him, in the UFC, certainly in the division. He's going to be the smaller guy in there. Dan Hooker is rangy. And, man, Dan Hooker, a lot of people were counting him out in his last fight versus Jalen Turner. And I know it was a split decision, but as a Jalen Turner fan, I did think that Dan Hooker won that. What did you think? Did you think he won it?
Yeah, we were there. We were drunk, but I think he won it.
Oh yeah, that's right. We were. Yeah, so this is a big one, man. So really the question is Mateusz Gamrot gonna be able to consistently take Dan Hooker down? The other thing is Mateusz Gamrot is pretty hittable, man, right? Like, we've seen him clipped, and I don't think his chin is anything special. Dan Hooker has a lot of power, and Dan Hooker is gonna have 5 inches of reach and 3 inches of height on him. I don't think it's gonna be now. That being said, Mateusz Gamrot also fought Jalen Turner, and he also took Jalen Turner down, and he did what he does. So the question is, do you think that Mateusz Gamrot will be able to keep it on the ground for the most part, or at least consistently taking down Dan Hooker? I hope that it's not just a boring fight of Mateusz Gamrot just taking him down and Dan Hooker trying to fight his way back up, but it could be. It's a possibility. On the other side is Dan Hooker going to catch Mateusz Gamrot? Because I don't think that his chin is that great, and I don't think it's going to take too many shots. I think if he gets caught once clean, this fight's over. So this is a tough one for me, man. This is really tough. Like, logic says Mateusz Gamrot, the premier. Dan Hooker is not the premier striker, right? Mateusz Gamrot is the premier wrestler in this weight class. So I'm leaning Gamrot, man. I'm leaning Gamrot by decision. I don't see Gamrot getting a finish on Hooker, but man, plus 210 for Dan Hooker with the possibility of a knockout. I'm going to sprinkle that for sure, but for the sake of the breakdown, I'm going to take Gamrot.
I feel that, Dino. Look, Dan Hooker is a very, very, very popular pick this weekend for like an underdog. I know a lot of people are taking Dan Hooker. A lot of people are taking Dan Hooker by knockout. Bunch of breakdowns have it where Mateusz Gamrot's being predictable, shooting the same kind of takedown. Dan Hooker catches his ass with a knee. I can see it. I can definitely see it. And then, as you mentioned, Mateusz Gamrot, not really like the best chin. I always think of the Beneil Dariush knockdown at, what was that, UFC 280 or something? It was in Abu Dhabi. I just remember Beneil just cocking back and just winging a big-ass shot that dropped him. Yeah, but Dino, fuck, his grappling is good, man. I know you use the word premier and like blah, blah, blah and all these words, but like shit, it's good. We saw him 5 rounds with Arman Sarukian. We saw him scrambling with Beneil the whole time. Mateusz Gamrot is a really high-level grappler. And not only is he a high-level grappler, he does have that relentless quality to him that Merab Dvalishvili has, right? Where it's like he's not going to be upset or discouraged when he's 0 for 11 on takedowns. He's just going to shoot that 12th one and eventually get it. Tough fight stylistically for both guys, right? Dan Hooker, very long and rangy. Mateusz Gamrot susceptible to getting caught in one of those, to getting caught with one of those longer weapons on a takedown. And then for Dan Hooker, man, just a shorter dude that's just going to relentlessly grapple him. And not a grappler, I think, was it Claudio Pajelas that he fought, Dino? Was that the jiu-jitsu guy that Dan Hooker fought?
Yeah.
Where Pajelas was just being like a jiu-jitsu nerd and kind of, just pulling guard the entire time. That's not what this fight's going to be. This is going to be Gamrot fucking just trying to run through him and take him down. I have to stick with Mateusz Gamrot, man. I know Dan Hooker's got the tattoos now, and he looks fucking swole as shit. If you've seen the before and after pictures, he's fighting at home, and he could totally catch him. But I just feel like Gamrot is gonna wear on him, and it's a different kind of wearing on somebody than the wars and the slugfests that he's had with guys like Dustin Poirier and Jalen Turner. This is a guy that's going to take you to, take you to deep waters with something that you're not fully comfortable doing. So I got to stick with Mateusz Gamrot. I'm going to go decision. I'm going to sprinkle sub as well, man. I feel like there's a possibility that Hooker late in this fight kind of not makes a mistake, but gets frustrated from being taken down and held there. And he just kind of makes the decision to give up his back. And I could totally see an RNC as well, but I'll stick with Gamrot, man. He's close to a title fight. This is probably his only chance he's ever going to get to a title fight. I feel like he's got to go get it now. It's now or never. So I'm going Gamrot.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Let's get it. We agree. Do we agree on everything?
I don't know. We'll have to revise. No, we definitely disagreed on something. I don't remember what it was, but.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Moving on. Co-main event of the evening on Saturday. Kai Kara France. He's taking on Steve Erceg. Give me your breakdown on this one.
All right, Dino. Let me do this thing. I got to do this thing right here. All right. Kai Kara France, powerful striker. He's super fast, explosive punches. His overhand right is absolutely nasty, Dino. Nice left hook. His ability to mix up his strikes is really damn good. I feel like we kind of forget with Kai Kara France. There's like some recency bias, right? Because the last time we saw him, I believe it was against Brandon Moreno. He didn't look phenomenal in that fight. Then he's had a long layoff after, or I'm sorry, it was the Amir Albazi fight that a lot of people think he won. But, the judges gave it to Amir Albazi. Super close fight regardless with a guy who's in the top 3 right now. Before that, it was the interim title fight against Brandon Moreno. So there's a little bit of recency bias. He hasn't looked like phenomenal in his last 2, but he definitely could have won his last one against the top 3 guy. And I feel like he's just been forgotten about. People think that he's like washed up. I know Steve Erceg is the new, fun toy in the UFC flyweight division. Very close fight with Alexandre Pantoja. A lot of people think Erceg won that fight. But what I like about Erceg, Dino, his combos, man, he's so goddamn clean on the feet. Like, his striking is super crisp for a guy who's a well-rounded fighter. He's not like a boxing or striking specialist, but you wouldn't know that if you were just watching him on the feet. He looks like one of those guys that came into the UFC after, being like a kickboxer for 6-7 years. But shit, he's got a good ground game. He's super dangerous everywhere the fight goes. Great fight IQ for Steve Erceg as well. But here's what I'm doing, Dino. I'm going Kai Kara France, man. I'm going to trust the knockout power and the explosive striking. I think that gives him the edge over Steve Erceg. I know Erceg just took the champion to a very tough decision, but I think we're forgetting about Kai Kara France, and I think we're getting some love on this plus 190. I think Erceg is going to struggle with the power of Kai Kara France, especially if he's not able to implement his grappling early on. And Kai Kara France, not the easiest guy to take down and hold down. So I'm going to go Kai Kara France. I'm going to go late finish, Dino. I'll go round 3 TKO.
All right. I'm going to have to disagree with you, man.
I knew you would. But I'm going out on a limb here, man. I just feel like, it's like that, the whole, like, you're only as good as your last fight or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, shit, then they're both really damn good. They both lost tough split decisions that they could have won, that a lot of people think they won. So I just think we're forgetting how good Kai Kara France is. He's been here at the top of the division for a long time. But I'm sorry to cut you off. Give me your breakdown.
All good, bro. My question is, though, look who they took to a tough split decision, right? Pantoja's looked unbeatable. Moreno couldn't beat him. What's his name? Brandon Royval couldn't beat him, and Steve Erceg.
Beat him, though? You know who beat him, though? Well, first of all, shout out Pantoja. That's my boy. But Figueiredo beat him. So come on now.
Yeah, listen, man. In the pure power department, I'll give you that. Kai Kara France is probably got that. But the ability to chain together different types of strikes, the combos, like you mentioned, Steve Erceg also not lacking for power himself. And when it gets to the ground, I just think he's the much more dangerous submission artist. he just took a much higher level opponent to. I mean, Amir Albazi is nothing compared to Steve Erceg on the feet, in my opinion. So,
well, no, of course not, Dino, but in the grappling he is, right? And that's what that fight was. It was him.
No, I know. I'm just saying Steve Erceg might be just as good in the grappling, and he's got much better striking. So, yeah. There's a world where Steve Erceg should be defending a title right now. Maybe not against Kai France, but in general. I'm going to go Steve Erceg, man. I'm going to go by decision, but I'm excited for this one, man. This has fight of the night potential, no question.
And I get it. Again, he is minus 230 for a reason. He's been super damn impressive in a very short stint in the UFC, man. So I totally get it with Steve Erceg. I'm just going to count on Kai France. That's just how I feel. Hunch feeling here, man. I just feel like we're doing him a little dirty as a community, saying that he has no shot against Steve Erceg, which a lot of people seem to think that he doesn't. I think KKF, double KF, is a legitimate fighter. So that's what I'm going with. But let's go.
All right.
Maybe winner gets a title fight. Maybe.
Flyweight's so weird. Like, it's just like you're just constantly recycling the same fucking guys over and over again.
What are you gonna do?
So, all right. Moving on. Main event of the evening: Dricus du Plessis, the champion, taking on the former champ and one of the goats of the middleweight division, Israel Adesanya.
Hey, Dino. Before you do this, before we get into the main event, I just wanted to do this. I had to do this. I felt like this is a great time for a throwback. What do they drink, brother? What do they drink? I feel like these are two guys where we got to know what they drink. You know, Izzy reportedly the drinking problems. Dricus, I can imagine how he dresses in a nightclub. What do you think?
Izzy drinks, man, low key, I feel like Izzy drinks whiskey.
Okay.
You know, I feel like you would think he drinks something girly, but I feel like low key just gets fucked up off some whiskey.
Okay. What, the scotch?
Not bourbon? Scotch. No. Bourbon.
Yeah.
Bourbon. Yeah. Dricus feels to me like a man, I don't know, maybe like a beer guy, dude.
Man, I was thinking vodka soda.
Yeah, he does have that pretty boy kind of like thing going, but like I feel like low key he'll have a beer. Like he's a pretty normal guy at the end of the, not saying if you're not, if you don't drink beer, but yeah.
Okay, anyway, like at the ball game would
improve. For this, let's move on.
Come on.
All right. So Dricus versus Israel Adesanya. Look, a long time coming, a lot of bad blood. I kind of would have liked to see that fight when it was being hyped, to be honest with you. But obviously for reasons, it did not happen. This is, stylistically, we know who these guys are, right? Dricus, very unorthodox striking, good power in the hands, mixes it up. He's got good wrestling too. He's definitely going to have better wrestling than Israel Adesanya. He's not like some crazy submission threat, but overall he's so unorthodox. And then the pace, the fucking pace, man. He comes and he's gonna throw everything but the kitchen sink, right? Which is interesting because he has not been known to have a crazy amount of cardio. Now, he got the nasal surgery. He does seem to have improved on that since then. He went 5 rounds with Strickland, obviously, in what was a war. So, you know, we haven't seen him in a while. Is he the same kind of guy that he was? You know, let's not forget how fucking dominant Israel Adesanya was. And let's not forget that Israel Adesanya fought very good fucking wrestlers, right? Like, why didn't Vettori just take him down? You know, like why didn't Robert Whittaker just take him down, right? Why, you know, Derek Brunson. Jan wrestled him a little bit, but you know, like that was him moving up a weight class. So, you know, don't get it twisted that this is just as simple as, oh, well, Dricus is a better wrestler, right? Well, sure, he is the better wrestler, but Israel Adesanya also has very good takedown defense. This is his natural weight class. He looks absolutely fucking jacked. Is he juicing? Maybe. It's really a question of, can the experience of Israel Adesanya and his ability to mix up the strikes and all that stuff, is that going to be enough to negate the awkwardness and the pace of Dricus? And I'm having a hard time with it, man. Like, it's my heart is telling me Israel Adesanya. My brain right now is leaning Dricus, you know. But I got to go with Izzy, man. I just got to go with him. You know, we've talked about fighters that have quit and fighters that, you know, I can never pick him again. For me, Israel Adesanya, you think about fighting a monster of a man, and look at how that Alex Pereira, his last win against him, has aged, right? Look at what Alex has gone on to do. Nobody's done that to him since then, right? He got knocked the fuck out cold, violently, out cold. And that was one of the greatest moments in MMA history for me. That was not that long ago. I like that Israel Adesanya took some time off for himself. Judging just purely based off his shape, he looks to be in unbelievable shape. I think it's going to be a fucking war either way. But I think, man, Sean Strickland's very awkward too. Israel Adesanya is more like, you know, a sniper, right? He's going to kind of move around and you know, move around and stick and pick his shots. So that's the reason I'm hesitant, because if he's not landing a ton of volume, Dricus is going to come and land volume. So if you're not doing that, then are we going to get to a point where Israel's going to need to knock him out? I don't know, man. But for me, this is a heart-based pick. I just can't pick against Israel Adesanya. I also don't love Dricus myself because of what he did to my boy Bobby Knuckles. So I'm taking Israel Adesanya by hard-fought decision.
But look, Dino, this main event, man, I could talk for 45 minutes about it, but we're running long. You're sick. Our one fan is probably sick of hearing us, and they just want to hear the pick. But look, man, I'm just going to give you a little condensed version of this. Israel Adesanya, as we know, the striking specialist, background in kickboxing, obviously a very elite level MMA fighter, one of the GOATs, definitely one of the GOATs of his division, potentially the GOAT of his division. The precision on Israel Adesanya's strikes is his greatest thing, man. It's his greatest attribute. It's his greatest weapon. He avoids damage pretty damn well, and he snipes people. And he has great footwork, man. Yes, he likes to fight on the back foot a lot, but he avoids damage doing that. Then you have Dricus du Plessis, an absolute fucking marauder, just a buzzsaw, a high-pressure fighter. He thrives in the chaos. He's definitely less polished on the feet than Israel Adesanya. Nobody, even like a complete newbie watching MMA, would say that he's the more technical striker. The guy is coming in there, winging fucking shots in, and he's looking to get to that clinch and take you down and throw massive fucking shots and use his strength. This fight boils down to a couple of things. Number one, if Dricus du Plessis is able to get Israel Adesanya down, then this fight might be over pretty damn quickly. However, Israel Adesanya's takedown defense, Dino, a lot is being made of it. A lot of people are pretending like Israel Adesanya has miserable takedown defense. No, Jan Blachowicz was able to take him down and lay on him. Jan Blachowicz, a very good wrestler, and we forget he was probably 30 pounds heavier than Izzy on fight night. Then people will say, well, Alex Pereira took him down. Alex Pereira doesn't take anybody down. True, but Israel Adesanya has fought Alex Pereira 4 times, and that was never even an option. It kind of caught him by surprise. Also, though, if you watch all the film, Adesanya very, very difficult to take down up against the cage. A lot easier to take down in the open. So if Dricus wants to take him down, it's going to have to be with a trip or just like a straight double leg, explosive double leg in the open, man. Here's how I see it playing out, Dino. I know Adesanya had some trouble, not some, he had a shit ton of trouble with Sean Strickland. And Sean Strickland, similar to Dricus, a very pressure-forward fighter, a guy that's never going to stop coming. But Sean Strickland is very, very defensively sound walking forward. He's damn near impossible to hit. We saw it with the Dricus fight. We saw it with the Izzy fight. The guy does not get hit often. He doesn't like getting hit, and he's very defensively sound. Dricus, while also being very aggressive, he's susceptible to being hit, man. We've seen him rocked in a lot of fights. I see the first round being full of nervous energy, both guys not wanting to take risks and just slowly kind of easing their way into the fight, like a potential very close first round. Second round, I see Dricus just being like, fuck this. I'm going to start going, a little more aggressive and kind of, maybe get a couple takedowns. And I think once that third round hits, Dino, and Dricus hasn't finished Izzy, if we get to that point, I think Israel Adesanya, it's his game. It's his fight to win. Dricus will start tiring. I know the cardio looked better last time out, but it wasn't too intense of a fight with Sean Strickland, right? I just think Adesanya is going to start doing damage. Dricus is going to get hurt. He's going to realize that he's losing this fight. He's going to get, he's going to start making those mistakes that Dricus du Plessis normally makes, and this time he's going to pay for it. I'm going Israel Adesanya TKO round 4 as Dricus kind of looks tired and starts getting a little desperate. I could also be wrong, Dino, man. Dricus du Plessis has fucking proven us wrong time and time again. He wins every fucking fight. You watch all these UFC guys and these high-level coaches and fighters, and they're like, I don't fucking get how this guy fluked his way into being a champion. I don't mean that from a place of disrespect, but just like whatever you think of me and my MMA knowledge, it's just like the guy doesn't look the part. But he's there, he's big, he's powerful, so who the fuck knows? But I will also go with Israel, Adesanya, and New. Shit, it's going to be a nervous fucking feeling fight, though.
It will. And yeah, I mean, I could see this is close to 50-50 for me as well. I mean, I think I made that pretty clear. But that's all I got. I can barely talk at this point. So,
yeah. So you want me to wrap it up and get us out of here?
Yeah,
all right, guys. That guy right there who is struggling to speak is my boy DS. He's hurt. He's ill, and he still showed up for you guys, and that's what matters. So if you guys want to applaud Dino, do us a favor. Hit the little like button. Hit the subscribe button. Ring the bell. Leave a comment. Thanks, Dino, for showing up while you're dying and have all this work that you're doing and shit like that. We appreciate it because I sure as hell appreciate it. But anyways, guys, follow us on IG and TikTok as well. Not really TikTok, but V107 MMA. Dino, we got a message from Luana Santos and a like from Aljo while we were recording this pod. So that's pretty damn cool. So you guys should check us out there. Anything else, DS?
we got a response from John Jones too.
Did we?
No, the other day.
Oh, earlier. Yeah. Yesterday or some shit. That was
Yep.
pretty badass. Yeah, that was John Jones. And we get followed by Yuri. So what's up? Y'all should do that. Anyways, guys, he is DS. I'm Dino Bam Bam. UFC 305 this Saturday, the Battle for Africa, but it takes place in Perth, Australia. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.